Good morning. My name's Josh. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer in Canberra. I've been pretty busy this morning actually putting up some of my own wedding photos over here. And I'll show those to you. Check that out. So I'm just making some tea. My wife's called me out for tea. And I'm going to make some coffee as well. Well, coffee's just about done. I'm going to go out and have coffee and tea with my wife, and yeah, then I'll tell you about this trick. Hey guys, I'm back. That was a much longer time than I thought, so it's been a couple of hours, but I really want to get down to business and tell you about this one feature that I found recently on Canon Mirrorless cameras. I'm not sure about the RP if this would have it, so have a look and check, but the EOS R that I use, this is my EOS R, that's my secondary camera, and my R6 that I'm filming on, they both have this feature, and you know what, it is game changing, I think, for me. Now, one of the things with mirrorless cameras is we depend a lot on their AI. When you're trying to focus on someone's eye, like I'm watching mine do right now, we generally allow it to just pick someone out of the frame. And that's really great when you're dealing with one person, maybe two people together, couples, that sort of stuff is pretty good. But when things get a bit busier, you need more control. Tony and Chelsea Northrup, whether you like them or not, sometimes they've got some good tips. They did a video on using a second mapped button, say having the AF on button set for eye focus and then having the star button focused for single point focus. Now that's great, and you can do that very seamlessly on the R6. It's quite good, but it doesn't quite have the same reliability as this other method that I've found. The only issue is that you're never going to get the same accuracy on the eye. And if you're shooting people all the time, you really want this sort of thing. What I've done with my EOS R, and you can see it right now, you can see that there is a single focus point in the middle, but it's also bracketed around the corners, like it is when you shoot for eye autofocus. Now, what this is a setting where you can set up the eye autofocus so that instead of it just picking out what it wants out of the frame, you put what you want in the middle of the frame, lock onto it, say using the back button autofocus like I do. You lock onto it, and then you can move around wherever. You can keep it held down. I'm still focusing right now, and it'll basically just track that thing, whatever you've focused on. Usually it's very reliable with people's eyes, but if you focus on that thing with that center focus point, then it'll just track it anywhere it goes, and it'll keep it locked. So a few things: you have to have AI servo on for this. You can't use single shot, and I like to use back button autofocus. You can probably do the same thing with half press front button autofocus, but I find a little bit more control and reliability with back button autofocus, and I just never take it out of continuous AI servo focus. Come and have a look at this. So we go into AF, the autofocus tab. So come across to that, and then you want to come across to tab number 5 under that. So page 5 under the AF tab. So you go down to the bottom option on the EOS R. I think there's a couple of other options on the R6, but this option is there. You'll be able to find it yourself. You go and click on that option, Now, most of the time this will be set to automatic, and like I said, if you're not dealing with complex situations, if you're just shooting your friend or shooting something fairly simple with not too much busyness going on in the shot, that's fine. But if it's a bit more complicated and you need to take a bit more control, then use this setting. So move it from automatic to initial AF point set for smiley face box, whatever that is. I think it's for face tracking and eye tracking. So we move it up to initial AF point set for smiley face box. And once we have that, you'll notice that now the screen and your EVF, because they're the same, they will have the box in the middle and the surrounding corner box. Now if I back button autofocus, you see now that's just following me around. Now granted, in this situation it would still do the same thing. It would be perfectly accurate at picking up my eye in automatic mode. But say I found that this is useful for things like if you're shooting sports on a mirrorless camera, oftentimes you'll be shooting a situation where there's a contest of like 10 people going after a ball, or they're chasing each other around and it's very complex. You're trying to chase people around. In the past, I've used a single autofocus point in the middle and followed that player on the field around, just chasing them around with the single center autofocus point. This, I feel, is the best of both worlds, where it's going to allows you to have a bit more control to tell the AI in the camera and the focus system, I want to focus on this thing, this person, and nothing else. And so it tells it that's what it should focus on. Instead of it just finding, say, one of the other players that you're not interested in at that moment, who, maybe they're just standing around or not necessarily actually in the contest or in control of the ball or whatever it is. You don't want it to lock focus on them and to miss that moment. So I think you'll find a few more keepers using this method, and it's a little bit more control. Best of both worlds. So get out there, let me know how it goes. I'll be really interested to hear, particularly if it does help people. Thanks again for watching.